Telling you how to deadlift, Vicky. I know you've been missing it. Hopefully you've been doing it yourself, but we're just going single arm deadlift today. Biggest thing, make sure you're going nice and slow. Make sure you're not rounding that back. We're trying to get that good anti-rotation core strength in there. So just go straight down, staying on your heels the whole time. Make sure you get up nice and tall every time. But again, if it starts to pull on that back one way or the other, you might need to start out pretty light so you can keep your core nice and tight, keep your posture nice and straight. We're gonna be in bear position, and when we're in bear position, everything gets a lot harder. So start this off nice and light. Obviously you can use a dumbbell if you need to or anything. I'm gonna go with a kettlebell, but it's basically push-up position, but you're gonna bring your knees right under your hips. Keep your knees a couple inches off the ground. And you're trying to just drag that kettlebell over. Keep that body as still as you can the whole time. You don't want to be rocking back and forth. Once again, we're all about the stability, all about that core. So just keep it tight. These are much harder than they look. So again, just like everything else, start light. Hollow body, which means we're going to be resting back on our tailbone. You want your heels up off the ground if you can, really forcing that core to stay tight. If you can't right now, if for some reason it's bothering your back or anything, heels on the ground is fine for stability. Again, you're just getting back into it, so that's perfectly fine. You'll still get benefits, just you'll probably miss out on like the last 15% or so. So again, if you can, heels up. If you can't, no big deal. But once you're here, you're just pressing up nice and slow, trying to get as straight as you can. If you want a little more core activation in there, try and keep it wide, come back wide out of your body, and then pressing right in. If you got to keep it straight up and down, that's perfectly fine too. That's a good one. Enjoy. Here we're going to be in a side plank, so you want to find some sort of elevated surface. You can use a bench, box, whatever you got. But we're in that side plank, trying to keep those legs out nice and straight. And then again, dumbbell, kettlebell, doesn't really matter what, but you're just going to, holding it with outstretched arm, rowing it up nice and high. Try to keep it off the ground the whole time so you're not trying to put it back down in between. This is a high number. I know you don't like the high numbers, but when you're working on the core strength and getting it back up, sometimes you got to do it. 3 sets of 20. On the waiter's carry, the lunge, yes, is important, but more important is how we are holding the weight. So kettlebell, dumbbell, doesn't really matter. As long as you are carrying it, doing your very best to keep your elbow on plane with your shoulder, and you want that nice 90-degree bend, kind of like a waiter carrying a tray, all right? So we're gonna hold it up. Holding it in this position locks in that side of the core immensely. If you drop it, the tension goes away here, and it starts picking up here. So now it becomes more of a shoulder exercise. We don't want that. So grab a lighter weight, and make sure you can keep your elbow up the whole time. Your opposite leg is the one that's going back, because you want to keep that tension on this side. So we're just going to go down, right back up. Again, you don't have to go all the way to the floor. You're trying to get that nice 90-degree bend in that front leg. So I got it up nice and high. I'm just going to go down so I get that little bend. I'm a couple inches off the floor, but I'm keeping that elbow at shoulder level the entire time. Yeah, your shoulder's going to start to burn, but more importantly, your core is going to start to burn, and that's what this day is all about. I know how much you've missed push-ups, so don't you worry. I programmed them in for you. Hopefully you got a bench. If you don't have a bench, you can grab a couple big plates, like a couple 45s, stack 2 of them together, just to give yourself a little elevation on one side. And we're gonna do line up like a regular push-up. We're gonna go down like a regular push-up, although it's gonna feel kind of weird with one hand on the elevated surface. So we're going down, and when you come up, you're gonna push up, and you're gonna hold yourself for about 2 seconds before you go back down. All right? The 2-second hold is the most important part about that. You don't have to go all the way to the ground. You don't have to touch your chest to the ground. Get yourself to about that 90-degree bend in the elbow if you can. But really make sure you get that 2-second hold. And when you're holding, try not to rotate your body so much. So you don't want to be like this. Your goal is to be as straight to the ground with your shoulders as possible so that this side of your core is super, super tight. So again, biggest part, try not to over-rotate. Try and just force yourself to hold it. Get yourself a treadmill. Get yourself a probably about a 25-ish pound weight. I obviously use kettlebells. I don't know if you have access to kettlebells. You can use a dumbbell. However, if you have a 25-pound plate with a handle, that will be easier. But 25 pounds is kind of where you want to start. Speed. You are walking at a power walk, okay? You don't have to walk super, super fast. You're not jogging, but a good power walk to keep you going, to make it challenging. And you are going to hold the weight down at one side like a suitcase, staying up nice and tall. You want the speed to be challenging enough to where it is difficult to stay up straight. Sorry. You might want to bend a little bit. Make sure you stay as straight as possible. If you lose your balance, you still have your off arm to go ahead and grab the railing. Every minute, on the top of the minute, go ahead and just switch hands to the other side. All right? If 25 pounds seems a little light to you, increase the incline. Don't grab more weight. Bump up the incline, bump up the speed a little bit. But if that incline gets harder, it's going to pull on those traps a little more. And we both know how much you love a good trap workout. So again, it's not the craziest hard conditioning workout ever, but that's how we're going to finish this week, is we're going to do some treadmill climbers, okay? Some farmer's carries on the treadmill. Day 1, I just want you to go for 10 minutes. Day 2, I want you to go for 12 minutes. And day 3, I want you to go for 14. So you're just increasing that time a little bit more. Makes sense. So again, nothing crazy. Find a treadmill, find a weight, get to work.